938 Live gets you talking with The Breakfast Club.
Welcome to Breakthrough with MindEdge. This program on 938 Live is brought to you by MindEdge. Get the winning edge with MindEdge. Thanks for joining us this morning, and today we're going to be giving you more tips on accelerating your learning through brain training. How can you use more of your brain and get the best out of it? Joining us this morning is Alan Yip. He's the founder of MindEdge and two-time record holder in memory power in the Singapore Book of Records. Alan is also the best-selling author of FUNtastic Parenting. Now, his learning academy, MindEdge, is backed by over 20 years of research in gender science. It's validated across 30 cultures. And MindEdge trainers truly understand how your boy and girl can harness their brain-based characteristics to really reach their full potential in terms of learning and character building through small group coaching of only 10 per class. Good morning, Alan. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Now, I understand, Alan, that your phones were ringing non-stop, off the hook, callers inquiring about this new program that you have, FUNtastic Brain Clinic. I understand this is jointly presented by, of course, your academy, MindEdge, and your partners, Edublox. Tell us more about this Brain Clinic.
Well, I'm very excited to share this new program with you, and in my humble opinion, I think this is the most powerful combination of training in cognitive skills, which we'll talk about more today, and memory, power, language acquisition and application skills ever presented in Singapore. I think, first of all, for those of you who called in and expressed the keen interest, I thank you for your faith in MindEdge, because this is the program which will literally change the hard wiring of your child's brain, okay? If they have not been doing well or doing as well as they should be, now is a grand opportunity for them to be trained, okay, within the hard wiring and the cognitive skills and so forth. And if they have been doing well, now the question is, how can we turn them from good to great? That's the question, right? And now let me just share very quickly about the Brain Clinic, which will be run in the last week of June, okay? Very quickly, you may want to just pen down these dates from 23rd to 27th of June, 5 full intensive days of training. How are we going to do it? In the entire Singapore, we're going to offer only 36 seats. Okay, this is really exclusive because we are flying in two master trainers from Edublox, including Susan Plexus, who is actually the Director of Educational Programs at Edublox, and she's the younger daughter of the founder of Edublox. So you will have the opportunity or privilege of meeting her. How is it going to be run? Very interesting. We are going to have 3 classes being run concurrently. So 12 students in one class going through computer brain training, widening eye span, improving reading comprehension, improving auditory memory, visual memory, and so forth. The other 12 students in another class learning memory techniques, study techniques, and so forth. And another 12 in another class yet working on reading, comprehension, logical reasoning, and things like that. Every 30 minutes, they will switch.
Okay.
So this is very important. So we capture the maximum attention span. We also change mental activities. So for 5 days, that's how we're going to do it. Now, most camps really fall short in terms of long-lasting results or sustainable outcome. Why? Because there was no follow-up. There was no reinforcement. With this very unique FUNtastic Brain Clinic, we will have 6 months of follow-up, ongoing support and reinforcement and encouragement. We have trainers keeping in touch with your child, and we also have 6 months brain training software, and that license is going to be given to you for 6 months. And parents, you can now coach your children at home, or they can work on their own. So very exciting program.
You mentioned that the training will be centered on cognitive skills. Let's talk about cognitive skills and how they determine a person's learning ability, no matter what level they're at.
That's absolutely right. I think, first of all, according to oxfordlearning.com, okay, you can check it out, oxfordlearning.com, they emphasize that cognitive skills are the skills that separate the good learners from the so-so or average learners. And this is a secret, actually, because if your child has become frustrated or has found schoolwork difficult, right, trying to just catch up or trying to stay afloat, well, you've got to look deeper now. More tuition programs will not help them because they don't have the building blocks. And now you're asking to build something, right? You better make sure they have the foundational skills, or what we call components first. And what does that mean in the future too? In later part or years of their life. A lack of cognitive skills, that means auditory, visual memory, that means concentration, attention, that means logic and reasoning, and that means planning and problem solving, they are going to be what? At a disadvantage, right? In this brutally competitive marketplace. And they will sell themselves short. And they may be stuck even in dead-end jobs. So today, let's really focus on cognitive skill or brain training to move them to a very high level of achievement and fulfillment.
And one of the most important components is memory. We discussed this last week, how memory plays a huge role in learning. And there are different types of memory that we need to pay attention to. Perhaps you could recap that for us.
Sure. First of all, now most people don't know, most teachers, most parents with the best intent are not aware of this. That is, auditory memory is probably the most prevalent and yet most often overlooked learning skill.
So if you're listening to us now, you really need to pay attention, because all this stuff could be put into your auditory memory if you know how to do it. Yeah?
Yes, and even when you're reading, this is the interesting thing, according to Eddie Cusimano, the author of the book Learning Disabilities, There's a Cure. Now, we are not talking about just learning difficulties. We're talking about learning excellence, academic achievement. And the key is this: when you read, you actually must listen and process the information you say to yourselves silently, right? So you are actually practicing auditory memory. Now, if your child has difficulty following instructions or directions, for example, let me give you an instruction right now. Well, complete every other question on page 15 and all the questions on page 16 before you work on geography and mathematics. Okay. Did you follow that?
Yes, I sort of did. Complete every other question.
Page 15.
Every question on the second one before you do geography and math.
So this is the key, because when your child is sitting in class, what is your child doing? Now, this is the interesting thing, okay? For children with auditory perception problems, I'm going to use the word problems, they seem to ignore verbal directions. They appear to be daydreaming. They even ask for repetitions or directions, and they always say, what? Or they watch someone else and see what they're doing first before they actually do it. Lastly, they have poor speech patterns, so they are falling behind in school. Very important to work on auditory memory. Next, visual memory. 80% of learning occurs with visual learning, visual memory. What does that mean? Do you understand? Can you imagine? Can you synthesize what you are learning visually? And of course, short-term memory. When your child is having learning problems, oftentimes it's because of a very weak working or short-term memory. Now, without a strong, powerful long-term memory, how can you go for exams, right? Come on. You can't even keep information in your long-term memory. Research has shown that when you improve on all these types of memory, your child will now be on the right path to excelling, not just in school, but in life.
When we continue, we'll give you more information on some memory techniques and applications that you can use with your child. Stay with us on Breakthrough with MindEdge, brought to you by MindEdge. Get the winning edge with MindEdge.
938 Live.